Hey, comic fans, this is Mars J Ultra. Welcome to Comics Forevermore. And just as a reminder to everyone that I will only review older classic comics from 2000 on back to the 70s, maybe the 60s if I can find any in my collection. I probably have one or two, but I got to dig them up. Simply because I don't want anyone wasting money on a current trash that's out there now that calls itself comics. If I feel strongly about a new book, I'll give it I'll give it a read and let fans know my opinion on it. But I'm not gonna review new comics simply because, like I said, I don't want a review out there from me and having a fan wasting their money and they don't like it. I don't like it, so I don't see why anybody who likes good stories why they would like I said, if I find something, I'll let you guys know what my opinions are. Um, if I review a book, a comic book, movie, manga, or anime, it's to get new readers excited about buying their first comic book, and for old fans who's forgotten how great comic books are to get back into reading. I want them to discover a world of comics in a fun, exciting way like I did when I was coming up. If it's a great book, I don't just read it and put it away. I'll sit there and drool over the colors and the great art for a couple hours, going back and forth, and just from beginning to end and end to beginning, I just pile over it and enjoy it. It's a social medium. It's a visual medium. So I'm going to be showing you the best part of a book to give you a reason to go out, get it, and enjoy it. It let you know it's going to be worth your money. So in this review, I'm not going to get into DC's Captain Marvel, okay, aka Shazam, because this is a review of one book that I love, The Death of Captain Marvel. This book was my first introduction to Captain Marvel. I read this in 1989, and the original copy that I have has no covers and it's beat up. I don't remember where I got the book from. I probably got it from somebody or found it somewhere. I don't remember. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was a great book, well written and well drawn book. I love the colors. So, a brief background on the character himself. Captain Marvel debated in 1967. He was originally named Mar-vell, debated in December of 1967 in Marvel Superhero number 12, written by the great Stan Lee and drawn by Gene Colan. Captain Mar-vell was given his own series in 1968, May of 1968. He was a military captain in the Kree Imperial Army sent to Earth as a spy to monitor Earth's technological development of space travel. Mar-vell eventually betrayed the Kree and became Earth's protector because he found out how benevolent, I can't even speak right now, but he found out how good and well-meaning human beings could be, how kind-hearted they were. So he betrayed the Kree and became Earth's protector. Now, the first series wasn't very popular with readers, and it was canceled at issue number 21 in August of 1970. The series later continued in September 1972 with issue 22 by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane, and later in issue 25, writer-artist Jim Starlin came on board and revamped the character. The series still didn't catch on with fans. I believe it's because Marvel didn't really know what to do with the character. And they were also trying to hold on to their trademark of the name. The second attempt at that series was finally canceled in May of 1979 with issue 62. And in 1982, Marvel's first graphic novel, The Death of Captain Marvel, premiered, written and drawn by Jim Starlin. And man, was it a beautiful book. A hero's death never looked so good. By this time, Captain Marvel had become protector of the universe, but his career was cut short when he was exposed to a nerve gas in a battle with the villain Nitro. Not a lot of people know him, but to me, he's a great character if he's well written. Captain Mar-vell later developed an inoperable cancer that eventually killed him. Honestly, after reading the graphic novel, I was greatly affected by it because of it got at a young age. It got me thinking about the meaning of life and the unavoidable reality of death, and I loved that. I wanted to know more. This character is a very cool character. After reading this book, my first introduction to him, I loved Captain Mar-vell. I love the look, the colors scheme on his costume, and the fact that he had I don't know what you call it, magic sprinkles when he flies. Man, as a kid I loved that. But I love Captain Mar-vell, the original Captain Mar-vell, and being introduced to him in this book, I went looking for other stories that he was involved in, and they were okay. The writing was kind of cheesy, but it was the 70s, it was the 60s and the 70s, so you can't really expect nothing, philosophical coming from Captain Mar-vell unless Jim Starlin is doing it. But being Marvel's first graphic novel, this book was awesome. I loved it. $5.95. Marvel's first graphic novel. It might have been a little expensive back in 1982, but it was worth it. The story was solid. It was a great story. One thing I look for in a comic book when I'm reading is plot and storyline. It has to grab me, or else I get bored easy. But this was awesome. This was a great book. From the art down to the story, I was a little wordy, but I didn't mind because it gave me a little background on who Captain Mar-vell was, and it showed his human side. Even though he's not human, he showed his human side, and it made me got more into the character. It shows his family, Rick, his friends. And his best friend, Rick Jones, couldn't accept Captain Mar-vell's death. The way Captain Mar-vell came to the final conclusion that he was dying, he accepted it. But Rick couldn't. He didn't want to give up on him. That's his best friend. He didn't want to say goodbye to his best friend. And up to the last minute, Rick just couldn't accept it. So Jim Starlin wrote a great balance. Rick wanted him to live, and Captain Mar-vell said, okay, well, I'm dying. I tried everything. Scientists all over the universe couldn't cure him. He went off on different adventures looking for a cure for cancer, but he couldn't find one. And Rick just couldn't accept that like Captain Mar-vell did. All the heroes from Earth, after they found out he was dying, came to try to cure him, and scientists, the world's greatest scientists, and Thor, God of Thunder, they were involved in trying to find a magical cure and a scientific cure and a technological cure, and no one in the universe could find it. All the heroes, all the great minds came together, and no one could find a cure. So Captain Mar-vell finally accepted it. While he was laying on his deathbed, all his friends he was surrounded by friends and sort of family, and even his enemies, the Skrull, came to pay their respect. Now, one great thing about this book that I loved, and I'm a fan of villains. I don't know about you, but I love villains. I'm more of a villain person than I don't root for the hero as much as I root for the villains. But while Captain Mar-vell is on his deathbed, he had a great surprise. Thanos, one of his greatest foes, came to visit him while he was slipping off into death. And I love Thanos' entrance into this, even though at that moment Thanos was dead, and he came to Captain Marvel in death, and they fought. Captain Marvel finally gave up because he realized he couldn't win. No matter what he tried, he went back to his past, fought all his enemies, came up to the present, and he still lost. And he finally accepted death while he walked with Mistress Death and Thanos side by side into the abyss. And I loved it. The way Jim Starlin set this up, it was great. It was awesome, and I recommend this book. I paid $20 for it because the original that I had is beat up and no front page, and I wanted to get it again and enjoyed it. And I probably read this about 6 or 7 times, and I give hats off to Jim Starlin. He comes through every time with a great story. Just to give you a little history on the many characters that Marvel has that wears the mantle of Captain Marvel, the many versions of Captain Marvel character. I'm sure they created so many different versions just to hold on to the copyright of the character. The first the first character that took on the mantle was Monica Rambeau. After Captain Marvel died, she was the first one. She was created by Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. She appeared in Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 16 for the first time in 1982. Monica was a police lieutenant from New Orleans. She had the ability to transform into any form of energy. She was also a member of the Avengers and later became a leader. And she was my second favorite next to Mar-vell. And I love Monica's character. She was pretty cool under pressure, and she was a good leader. And it got me more into reading and researching Captain Marvel himself. You know, I wanted to find out who the character was. Now, the third Captain Marvel was Mar-vell. He appeared in Silver Surfer Annual number 6. Went by the name of Legacy. He was a genetically engineered son of Mar-vell. He eventually died after going insane and threatening to destroy the universe. Mar-vell was a sister of Mar-vell. It was created by Peter David and Paul Azaceta. She appeared in Captain Marvel Volume 5, number 16. Mar-vell possessed superhuman strength. She could fly, absorb energy blasts with the ability to return those energy blasts back at her enemies. She later died while trying to save the universe. Man, what is up with these Captain Marvel characters dying off? I hope the current version kind of fall victim to that trend because she kind of sucks. But anyway, the fifth Captain Marvel, I can't pronounce his name, Kenar. The first appeared in Civil War: The Return in 2007. He was a Skrull sleeper agent in the Secret Invasion storyline. He fought against the Skrull invasion, but later died. Another one dead. Whoa. Now, the sixth Captain Marvel was Novar. First appeared in Marvel Boy number 1. He later joined the Dark Avengers, but quit when he found out that they were all villains. He's currently working with the Inhuman Royal Family. Now, the new version of Captain Marvel, which is what everybody knows out there now because of the movie, Carol Danvers, the one that everybody sees today. I can't really say too much about her. I'm not a fan. She's not a very good character to me. But the best version, in my opinion, was the original Mar-vell and Monica Rambeau. Because I spent some time with the characters, reading them and researching their backgrounds after trying to find out as much as I could about them while I was buying books. Now, just to let you know, a little known fact, in 1966, when the Captain Marvel name fell into public domain, a small publisher by the name of MF Enterprises created their own Captain Marvel character. Now, this character was a ripoff of DC's Superman and Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. This copy of Captain Marvel wore a letter M on his chest. It was an alien android who was sent to Earth by its creator to escape the atomic destruction of their planet. It even had a secret identity of a newspaper journalist named Roger Wilkie. Roger Wilkie. Wow. Even copied Batman and had a sidekick named Billy Braxton. It's a shameless copy of Billy Batson, I'm sure. In battle, the android Captain Marvel would yell out and split his limbs. His limbs would come apart and attack his enemies, leaving the android with just a head and a torso. Now, that sounds very scary for a superhero. If I was one of his villains, I would definitely give up right away after seeing that. You know, just seeing the head and the torso off in the distance while the arms and the legs, they were coming at me. That's very scary. The Android Captain Marvel series only lasted for 5 issues. I'm sure because Marvel paid off MF Enterprises for the rights of the Captain Marvel name. Yeah, I know they did. They probably did, of course. Okay, so let me know what you think about my my review of The Death of Captain Marvel. I love this book. Like I said, it was my first introduction to Captain Marvel, and Jim Starlin did an awesome job. Like I said, remember, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about my review. Subscribe to this channel, share the video, like, and don't forget, my Twitter is Comics Forever M1 on Twitter, at Comics Forever M1 on Twitter, and you can send me an email at comicsforevermore@gmail.com. That's comicsforevermore@gmail.com. Let me know what you think, what you want to talk about, whether it's any movies, manga, anime, or comic book stories you want to get into. Comment on the channel. You know, it's a new channel. I'm trying to grow it. It's a little slow, a little nervous in front of the camera, but I'm learning and I'm getting there. So if you guys help me out, help me build the channel, I greatly appreciate it. And hit me up on Twitter, Comics Forever M1, at Comics Forever M1 on Twitter. Hit me up. Let me know what you think. Check out my original content on there, my characters, and I'll be posting more videos later on. Check me out. Let me know what you think. And like I said, remember, only you can save comics.